In this forecast, a major pattern change is coming to the northern plains and Midwest early next week. The low-level jet will also be strengthening. What this means for the tornado potential. A cool down also may be coming to the northern plains early next week. And an upper-level disturbance continues to impact Florida. All of these stories and more are coming right up. Hey everybody, welcome back to a Max Velocity weather forecast, and today what we're going over is the big pattern change coming to the United States as early as next week. The potential for severe weather, maybe even a severe weather outbreak, does exist early next week. I'm going to give you the full details on everything that you need to know in this forecast. Let's hop right into it. So here's a look at the jet stream over the next several days. Let's go ahead and pause it and start with Saturday. We still have a high pressure ridge currently dominating the central portions of the United States as well as down in the southern plains. That will stay that way for probably at least the next week. However, there will be a big pattern change coming into early next week. You can start to see by Sunday into Monday, all of a sudden we have this little low-level feature back out to the northwest portions of the United States. And you can see how strong it is. Look at all those purples and reds showing very strong winds. It's going to show a pretty decent dip in the jet stream for this time of the year during the summer, back up to the northwest. This system will move off to the east, potentially posing a severe weather threat to the northern plains as well as the Midwest heading over into Monday and Tuesday of next week, and potentially the northeast maybe Wednesday into Thursday of next week. Here's the low pressure system by next Wednesday into Thursday. Start to see it weakens a little bit, but it will still bring some shower and storm activity potentially to the northeast heading into potentially Wednesday and Thursday of next week. We'll get to the severe weather outbreak potential in just a moment, but let's hop into that chance for severe weather today. There is a marginal risk of severe weather down in southern and western portions of Florida. The main threats here will be damaging winds and maybe some isolated quarter-sized hail. There is an upper-level disturbance currently just southeast of Florida. That is what's spurring up these storm chances over the next several days. We can start to see by 2 to 3 o'clock this afternoon, most of the storm activity overall is moving north or northwest. And again, that's that low pressure system down to the southeast of Florida, spurring up some of those showers and storms. And we'll see this storm activity most likely for the next several days down here in Florida. Eventually going into tomorrow, we'll start to see more storm activity. Again, it's going to go on and on probably for the next couple of days, probably even through maybe into early Sunday. So definitely something to watch pretty closely as we head into that time. Here's a look at the slight risk of severe weather back out to the northwestern portions of the United States near Montana and western North Dakota. Damaging winds maybe up to 70 miles per hour will be the main threats in these areas. Here's a look at the timing this afternoon. By 3 to 4 o'clock, we'll start to see storms move off to the east. That is your defined area of storms, potentially a little Boeing area of storms that will produce that damaging wind threat and maybe even a little bit of isolated large hail. By about 5 to 6 o'clock, storms continue to move off to the east. They will weaken as they move closer to North Dakota, but they might still be posing some isolated damaging winds. Eventually going to the evening hours, we'll start to see most of the storm activity exit out of Montana. All right, let's get into that severe weather potential for later portions, or at least early next week. Here's a look at the slight risk of severe weather going into Monday. There's currently a slight risk for North Dakota and northeastern Montana. This is not necessarily going to be a severe weather outbreak. Tuesday has a better chance of that, but there will be a possibility for damaging winds, some large hail, and maybe even a couple of tornadoes. Here's a look at going into Tuesday. We have a slight risk of severe weather, which is an extremely large area. It includes areas from eastern Minnesota back into all of Wisconsin, northeastern Iowa, northern Illinois, western Michigan, northwestern Indiana, and even northern portions of Michigan as well. Damaging winds will be the main concern on Tuesday, but there may also be some large hail and maybe even a couple of tornadoes because that low-level jet will likely be increasing on Tuesday. Into Tuesday, we'll have a strengthening low-level jet. Winds are going to reach around 40 to 45 knots, indicating at least a low to moderate and low-level jet, which a low-level jet will help to rotate some of these supercells if they're able to develop on Tuesday. And looking later Tuesday, they'll start to strengthen back up to about 40 to 45 knots, as I mentioned before. And then again, low-level jet will be pretty strong with these storms, and that will again initiate that potential for maybe some of these storms to be able to rotate. Here's a look at that ongoing area of moisture, by the way. Obviously, all the moisture for the most part is coming out of the areas in the Gulf of Mexico. We have dew points currently down in the Gulf of Mexico around 70 to 75. Back up in the northern plains, still in the 60s and 70s for the most part. Now, you can start to see this feature, by the way, back up in the northern plains start to fill in. You'll start to see this really big turn, and that is actually where the low pressure system will be centered on Tuesday afternoon, right around lunchtime. So you can see the dew points all around this system, and then back out to the west of that, we have ushering drier air coming in behind it. That will dry out areas like Nebraska, the Dakotas, going to later Tuesday into Wednesday, and that will obviously obviously bring much drier conditions and as well as potentially some cooler temperatures for maybe a couple of days. You can see overall though, the humidity will still stick down in the southeast. That is again very typical for this time of the year. Overall though, the central and southern plains even will have a big break from the moisture, only in the 50s for dew points. That's actually pretty comfortable for this time of the year, especially with the massive heat that we've had over the last several days. Unfortunately though, that does mean rain chances will be extremely minimal over the next 7 days in those specific locations. Here's a look at the rainfall totals over the next 7 days, and basically what the greens mean is under half an inch of rain, blues anywhere from under an inch of rain, purples 1 to 2, and yellows are the highest, which is around 4 to 5, and the yellows are off the coast. We're not going to see really any significant rainfall, it looks like, besides maybe the Ohio Valley into potentially portions of the Midwest. And obviously we have a big hole here in the central portions of the United States, just showing that we're not going to unfortunately see much in terms of rain over the next several days. But we'll keep you updated again with the latest from Max Velocity. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe down below. This forecast is brought to you by Platinum Contracting and All Dents Repair.